Hello, dear friends. It's so good to be with you. We are breaking our silence, and we broke our silence with my dear friend and Byler long time ago. Today's subject is overcoming people pleasing. That's a big one because I have been a people pleaser for a long time, and I am still a people pleaser little bit. Let's talk about it. And were you a people pleaser? Are you a people pleaser? What do you say about the
Yes,
subject?
yes, and yes. Thinking about where that started for me, it goes all the way back to my growing up years. There were 8 of us kids in our family, and I'm the middle of 3 girls and the third from the top. And so I was always striving to please my parents and please God and please my siblings. And besides that, my mom had a quote that she said to all of us, probably every day. And it was simply, little children, love each other. Do not give each other pain. And when one speaks to you in anger, do not answer them again. Well, it meant I needed to please everybody, so I just would withdraw if I felt like I was hurting somebody or somebody was mad at me, or I just simply walked away.
Yes.
And because I wanted to please them, I wanted there to be peace in the family. And often, right, we please people we want to because we want peace,
Yes.
or we want them to feel like they're loved, or
Yes.
but we kind of forget about ourselves as we are trying to please people. And then in the church, I was taught, all these rules and regulations, and so then that just carried on into my school years and into my church years, and I wanted, exhausting.
It is
For sure.
exhausting. It's a hard work, pleasing people.
It is.
Did you have that moment like saying, because I had that moment and I said, I am a people pleaser and I'm sick of this. Did you have that moment? Oh, I mean, you may not say it, maybe you articulate it nicer than me because
Well,
you are nicer than me, but did you say like, I'm a people pleaser and I had enough of this?
I don't know if I ever had a moment where I really felt like it's time for me now to stop pleasing people.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I learned a lot about, it was family life for me, then it was church life. And I learned a lot about, even I carry that into my business life, trying to please people in the business world. That's exhausting.
It is.
And you cannot please everyone. And I remember a quote that somebody said to me at one point, your response is your responsibility in life. And when I realized that pleasing people is giving them it's like giving them the okay to tell me what to do.
Mhm.
And I realized it's just way too hard. So I learned how to be responsible for my responses to people in a more mature way.
Yes.
And so that really, in the business world, that's where I really began to understand I cannot please everybody. My counselor said to me one time, he said, Anne, it would be nice if everybody liked you, but it's really not important.
Yes.
And that was a big line for me. It would be nice. And we please people. We want to please because we want them to like us. And so it's really not important for everyone to like us. That's kind of a hard truth.
Yeah. My father used to say, the moment they are paying your mortgage, your utilities, you can start pleasing them.
Okay.
I mean, he had this mindset about he didn't care whoever said whatever about him. But I wasn't raised like that. I wish I was like him, but I was more like my mom. My mom was a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. I think there's a level of people pleasing. It can be healthy. Like, for example, I want to please you and I want to take you to a nice restaurant when you are visiting town. I want you to stay and be comfortable where you are staying. So I want your trip to be pleasant. And I want to please you for that sense, right? But then there's another level of people pleasing that I am making lifetime decisions. And those decisions are dictating my destiny. And I am just worrying about what people are going to say with my life decisions. And it's a different level of giving people power. So when people pleasing becomes giving people power, then it is becoming dangerous for my well-being and dictating my potential, limiting my potential. Because I am living my life in the parameters of what other people are going to say and think about me. And because of that, I made a lot of wrong decisions that I regret in my life, or I made decisions that I waited too long to make those decisions. And have you been ever in that position?
Well, sure. And I think that people pleasing is actually very subtle, and it almost feels like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Like I should please people around me. And again, I feel like I've had a few experiences where people pleasing almost got me in really big financial trouble. So it can happen though, as a wife, as a mother, as a business person, whatever your vocation in life is, you're in the workplace and you want to please people.
Oh, yeah.
And it can really cripple you. And I remember one story in particular at Auntie Anne's, and we were deciding whether to go public or not. And I really wanted to please my team because I knew how they felt about it. And I knew all of the work that they had done to bring this agreement, to make this happen for our company. And as time went on, I wanted them to feel like their work was really important, and I wanted to do it their way. And there was a moment in that after 8 months, this is just one story of many, but of 8 months of struggle of like, I don't know, I didn't feel exactly comfortable. I wasn't sure if it was the right move for me and my husband or the company. And at the end of the day, I said no. Instead of trying to please the whole team, knowing that that may take us in a bad direction. And thank God I was able to be strong and notice and recognize the fact that it's really about pleasing them. It wasn't about doing the right thing for the company, or even for me, it's always been, I want God to have his way in my personal life, in my business life, in my marriage. And in that particular case, it would have changed the landscape of our company. But so I think to learn how to walk in that way, you really have to understand, am I trying to please people, or is this the right thing for me to do? It's a constant.
It's a constant battle. And I think we need to, when we are getting stronger in our own identity, and we are feeling secure under our own skin, we started writing the list of our negotiables and non-negotiables. So, because every time we are pleasing someone, there's a good compromise, there's a bad compromise. Not every compromise is a bad compromise.
Correct.
If I want to go to a movie with you and we have like two choices, and I just say, and you choose the one, you pick one. It's not a bad compromise. I mean, as long as the movie is like, within our Christian beliefs and parameters, it's not a bad compromise, because I choose something that you like, and that's okay to please you for that sense. But then we are coming to our godly standards, and in that sense, compromise. Of course, now we are entering into the danger zone. So I think we need to understand ourselves. What are personally our negotiables and our non-negotiables? As a person, I have my negotiables and I have my non-negotiables in a relationship. Maybe single people are hearing this, right?
Absolutely.
What should they do in a relationship to please someone that they are with, and what they shouldn't do? All of these things are part of people pleasing.
Absolutely. I feel like if you're in a relationship that wants to control you as a people pleaser, you're going to let them do that.
Yeah.
But I
have done that.
Yeah, same here. Absolutely. Yeah. But I think that at some point, it's important for us to understand, pay attention to what it is that's going on inside of you. Yes. Inside of you. Yes. And when it feels bad, or it feels controlling, or it feels like something is not okay here, I think that we need to learn how to pay attention to the intuition that God has given all of us. Yes. And I feel like people pleasing is one of those things that we ignore because we just think it's the right thing to do. I need to please everybody. Yes. But it's really a matter of being in tune with Holy Spirit within us, and He will teach us. And if someone is controlling your life, that's a whole level of people pleasing. But how many of us allow people to control our lives, whether it's in a friendship, it always has to be someone their way, or whether it's in an abusive relationship,
Yeah, tell me
we
about
will
it.
do whatever
Yeah.
they want us to do. I mean, this people pleasing thing can go to a level that is beyond
Yes. Yeah.
if you allow it to continue to grow.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, you lose yourself.
That's the key. You lose yourself. You lose your identity. You lose self-respect. The things that you can lose so much, and the list is so long. And one thing that I notice about my life, we are being raw and real here. When I give in so much to people pleasing, there's a problem with my boundaries. Number one, there's a problem with me saying no, and I am not able to say no, and I am always saying yes. So part of people pleasing is saying yes, giving in, and submitting to the wrong thing. And then we are finding ourselves in a place that we are hurting and we are angry. People pleasing
Oh,
pleasers are
it,
angry people. They are frustrated people, because I found myself many, many times in a people's pleasing situations, and in letting people violating my non-negotiables.
mhm.
On the inside, very angry, very bitter, very disappointed and discouraged. And so there is another level of people pleasing, and we need
Absolutely.
to say no.
Yeah.
Learn to say no. I mean, uh, I say no without an accent. This is probably the only word that I say without an accent is
No.
no.
Well, again, going back to it's so embedded in us,
Yes.
in your home life, your parents. Um, I remember in an example again in the church as a teenager, growing up in the Amish Mennonite culture, there was all kinds of rules and regulations. So my people pleasing started when I was a little girl. And in my teenage years, I remember one day the preacher comes to my house. So we had to wear our hair a certain way, had to wear our coverings a certain way. The dresses had to be a certain length. And you may say, well, that's just, it's a cultural thing. It's like it maybe it doesn't really impact you. But I remember when the preacher came to see me, how angry I was when he left. And I didn't understand at that point that I was trying to please him and I disappointed him.
Hmm.
Like, wow. So when you try to please people,
Yes.
actually you're always disappointing them
Hmm.
because you can never reach that level of living according to their standards.
Yes.
And as you mentioned earlier, we have biblical standards, you know,
Absolutely.
but on the other hand, there are cultural issues in our lives. You grew up in the Muslim world. I grew up in the Amish life.
Hmm.
So culturally, we stress and we struggle with pleasing those around us. But it's so deep in us. And I think the fruit of people pleasing is just becoming more and more and more angry
Yes.
over time.
Yeah, because we want to perform better for the person to whether stay in a relationship or to love us more. So we are doing this performance thing, and it is really becoming a high maintenance, work based relationship. And the more we do, the more we want to keep to maintain the relationship.
Yes.
In any circumstance, it can be a marriage, it can be boyfriend, girlfriend, it can be friendship, in any form, but it's constant on a high level performance, and it's exhausting, it's tiring, and it makes the relationship bitter. And the more you do, the more you need to do. There's no end to that, and you, like you said it, you lose yourself, you lose your identity. But the moment I teach three things to young adults when they come to my classes: you need to know who you are, you need to know what you want, you need to know where you are going. Once we start knowing who I am, and then the next thing, I know what I want. And I feel like I am in that state right now in my life. I know what I want.
Mm,
And when you know what you want, you also know what you don't want.
absolutely.
And you need to get rid of the things and even people that you don't want in your life,
Mhm.
because that is part of what you want and what you don't want. And that puts you in a very good place, very healthy place, because you start making, saying, your own choices are making, saying yeses, and right no's, right?
Yes. so true. And I just want to say to the audience right now, like,
Yeah.
hey, listen, we're talking about raw, real, and we're talking about people pleasing. And one thing I've discovered in my life is that when there's a truth that's revealed to me, in order for me then to act on that truth, it's a great idea to just sit down somewhere with a pen and paper or on your iPad or wherever and begin to write down, think about in your past, where has someone absolutely controlled you? When did you learn how to try to please people? What happened? And I think that very often we need to go back and think about, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel it's important to please people? And so right now, I think it'd be a good idea just to begin to think about this subject. And where have you been trying to please people? And then begin to write down how that makes you feel. I know often we ignore our feelings because we think they're not important. But God made us emotional, spiritual, and physical beings. And our feelings are so, even though they're not fact, our feelings dictate to us what we continue to allow to happen day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And I've discovered that when I'm able to sit down and write down some of the things that we're talking about right now, begin to journal these experiences and how they have made you feel.
That's amazing. What you are saying is so important, that we shouldn't bury our feelings and suppress them. We need to allow ourselves to feel. And there were times and relationships in my life I didn't allow myself to feel. And I even dictated how it is weird, but I know that it's going to help someone. And I literally told myself how I should feel as a Christian woman, as a minister, as a pastor. I started telling myself, you should feel this way. And the more I dictated, the more my feelings started getting bigger and more powerful, because I was trying to overcome something that was already existing, because I was hurting, and I was trying to suppress my feelings. And you can only do it so much. And I have an illustration for this. It is like a beach ball. You can keep that beach ball under the water for 5 minutes with your hand, for 10 minutes, for 15 minutes. But one day that beach ball is going to jump outside of that water. So this was like, this happened with me. I kept that beach ball under the water and I push it down with my hand over time. And I push it and push it and push it. And there's always that time, and it happened to me, that beach ball jump out. The more pressure you put it to keep it under the water, the higher it's going to jump. And that happened to my feelings. And I wanna ask people, I wanna tell you guys, ask this question to you, because I asked this question especially recently, and it made a huge difference in my life. If you are the boss of your life, and you are the boss of your life, so don't come with this phrase, oh, Jesus is the boss of my life. Yes, he is, but you have self-will, and you are the boss of your life. If you are the boss of your life, who do you hire and who do you fire in your life? And I asked that question in my life, and that made a huge difference.
Absolutely. And I think that, just understanding, why do I feel this way?
Yes.
I mean, I'm going back to the feelings here, because
Yes.
I didn't know for many, many years that emotions and feelings are really important to me.
Yes.
And they're important to God because he created me with that. So why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
I mean, I've lived in my past where I'd kneel by my bed and I'd say, God, how did I get here to this place? Why do I feel so bad? Why am I feeling so sad and depressed? And, for those of us who love the Word of God and you love the psalmist, I would pick up the Bible and read how David felt. I mean, the book of Psalms is full of emotional feelings of how David felt. And he was a man after God's own heart. And I believe that we're women after God's own heart. And it matters to him how we feel. And David was able to express how he felt, not only to God, but he wrote it down.
Yep.
And so, why do I feel the way I feel?
Mm-hmm.
And how can I begin to feel better?
Yes.
And it's a journey, Ishik. It's not like I'm going to pray about this and it's gone.
Yeah. I think
It's a journey.
I think religion tells us to, suppress your feelings, control everything, like just deny these feelings, self-denial, woe to me, all this, self-punishment stuff.
Yeah.
But God really cares for our feelings.
We live by faith,
Yes, not
but
by
we're
sight.
emotional beings.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I think to be able to balance the two
yes,
is really important as we grow, as we mature, and as we experience life.
absolutely. And that is why raw and real part of this program is so important to me. This podcast, talking with you is really helping to me as well to process how in my journey, I found freedom in the area of people pleasing. So we have a few minutes left. What do you say to people that so into people pleasing and they want to get out of this? And there are people, they are going to make life changing decisions right now. They want to make those decisions, but it's so important to them what other people are going to say.
I think our podcast, Raw and Real, is scary
Yes.
for a lot of people. I know, I've been there. So I feel like being raw and real can become a way of life for you. And I think that one of the things, it's just off the top of my head right now, that you can do is choose your friends.
Mm.
Choose the people that you want to be connected to. If you're hanging out with people that are constantly demeaning you or making you feel bad or
Yes.
constantly back to making you do things the way they want, and you're pleasing them, just this subject is so deep, Ishik. We've only scratched the surface.
Yes.
But it's really important for you to have a friend,
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 friends, to be open, to be real, and to be raw, and to be honest. And in that way, I believe over time, you get stronger and you realize how insignificant it is to always want to please those around you.
Yes.
Find the right people that can build you up and listen to you.
Absolutely. And the moment I said no to people pleasing, I'm not talking about in general people pleasing, but the major things, deal breakers in my life, I felt like I got my power back.
Mm.
And this is what I want to call you to. Get your power back. Get your life back. When the moment you say enough is enough, that is the moment you are getting your life back. The moment you are drawing that line and you are going to say, in this area, at least start with areas of your life. If you need to make it, compartmentalize, you can say, I am going to start with this first. What is important to you? And choose that thing and learn to say that powerful no to people pleasing. And once you start saying that and putting that boundary, you are going to start gaining your power back little by little. And you're going to start liking that. Because that gain power is building your identity back. And that is the key, is building godly strength in you.
You may lose all your friends when you're doing this.
Oh, you may lose
but at the
false friends, fake friends. You don't lose you.
But you will find you.
Yes. Yesterday you told me something very important. Sometimes you only need one.
That's right.
And I'm so glad that you're in my life.
I'm happy to be in your life as well, Hishik. Thank you. What a great day.
Yes, absolutely. So I just want to invite you. Today is the day, I believe, is a decision-making day for you. And if you're at the verge of a big decision, you need to sit down and you need to put the pros and cons. Write them down. What are the negatives? What are the positives? And I promise you, in the negatives, if this is a big decision, there are some people-pleasing points involved. And you need to make some inventory and self-examination. Where is this coming from? Maybe you were rejected in the past. Maybe you were abandoned and you need to fit in. And for that reason, you need to say yes, 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 yes. But there's a time for you to say, no, I am drawing the line right now. And once you draw that, it is like a tennis match. My therapist told me it's like a tennis match. When you draw the line, you need to stay at your court. You don't go to the other person's court. You need to let them play their game. And you stay at your court and play yours. Because you are called to live your life. So I'm just going to ask Anne, in closing thoughts, what God is telling you to tell everyone.
Well, I believe that God wants us to live in freedom. That's really true. He created us to carry his presence in our bodies. And when we allow other people to tell us what to do and make us feel bad and make us feel like we have to please them, it's really stealing the presence of God from us. And over time, you feel depleted and you feel defeated. So I just want to say, be strong, be courageous. And as Ishik said, learn how to say no.
Absolutely. And when you start doing that, you are starting to seeing you are delighted in your life. You have more joy and happiness, and that inner anger is disappearing because you are not angry just for saying yes to everybody. And you have that power and ability to make some people mad. And it is okay that not everybody is going to like you. God is perfect. Not everybody likes God, right? So what makes us think that everybody needs to like us? So we come to that healthy place. It is okay. Some people are going to get mad at me. Some people are going to dislike me. And I am fine with that. And that place is complete confidence. You have your securities not because you please people. You have your securities not because you say yes to everything. You feel secure because you are able to make right choices, say yes to what you need to say yes. And thank you so much for doing this podcast with me and being part of Broken Silence. I am really enjoying this time with you.
It is my great pleasure.
I hope that you didn't say yes to just to please me.
No, I did not.
Yes, because it was a long time hard work commitment, right?
But I felt the Holy Spirit say yes to Ishik.
Yes.
So there you go.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with us at Broken Silence today, listening to us. I hope that you learned something, and please comment and follow us on social media. Until next time, God bless you.